So, gonna give you a little story real quick. Someone I care about, and let me know if everyone can hear me. Can you hear me? You should be able to hear me. Hi, ladies. I'm gonna start with a little story. The someone I cared about lost a deep friend, a very special person in her life, and the funny thing is that person was not a person. It was a dog. A dog of 14 years, though. Single woman. This is her companion. This is who she comes home to. This has been her protector. 14 years. And because I'm close to her, I decided to attend the homegoing for this dog. What makes it sad is that the dog was still alive. And she could go on no more. And she was struggling and straining. And she suffered notorious injuries that her 14-year-old body could not sustain. And so the owner, her mother, made a strong and very difficult decision to say goodbye to her friend, her protector, her everything of 14 years. Single, middle-aged woman. And I'm there, and the doctor is there, and the doctor's name is she's a Karen, but she's a really, really sweet, older white lady. And she handles it with compassion. And the dog is there and has been lying in her, big, huge dog, been lying in her own urine and other things because, you have to put diapers under her and everything. Pain was painful. But we shepherd her home. 2 shots. First shot makes her fall asleep. The dog seems to know what's happening. At least it feels that way to us. She looks as if it's like, I know it's time. Okay, it's time. And she moans a little bit. And then her head is stroked by the owner. And she finally goes into this deep slumber. Second shot comes 15 minutes later. And she's gone in 2-3 minutes. 14 years. Gone. Like that. I share this story of a stranger losing her companion, her dog of 14 years, because it was so touching, so beautiful, so humane. And then I think about the juxtaposition of the topic of today's show. It's men, largely, namely black men, suffering from PTSD. And how some black men feel like their lives could be taken at any instant. And often how some people, including folks in our own skin, have disregarded these lives. And there is no time frame. There is no planned humanity, because it was such a beautiful, humane thing that occurred this morning that I witnessed. It's just a matter of they're gone. I have a question for you all, because this is going to be a deep conversation, and we'll lighten the mood in certain spots, but I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be a trying conversation, and hopefully I could keep the mood going and keep things going. There's a gentleman, Amir Locke, who passed away, but he died. No, he was killed at age 22 in Minnesota. Just a few weeks ago, early this month, another no-knock situation. Another warrant issued for police to go and get in there and do whatever. And they got the wrong man and they shot him. not getting into a police situation. This isn't even going to be a black or white thing today. My question to you is, what are the conditions of this life to where a young man is sleeping on the sofa at a friend's house and he feels a need to have his gun with him? Legally owned, 22 years old, feels it's a regular thing that is needed. His gun. The police saw him. They saw him get off the sofa. He was sleeping on a sofa. This wasn't even his house. And he had the gun by his side, and he raises the gun up. I'm not here to challenge the police. I think that's an easy one. I'm here to question, what existence are we living for our young men, hell, our grown men, to sleep on a sofa of his friend's house and feel that he is naked without a gun? Did you live that way? I know some people have lived really hard lives. I didn't live that way. And I've been around guns all my life. What is happening on a mental level to where our young men feel the strain? Today we'll talk about it. I'm going to open up the show and then we'll get started. This is the Shawn Show. Welcome to the Shawn Show. And Tyrone too. On today's show, it's about black mentals. Featuring Ready to Love's Dante. And our featured guest, Dr. Leigh Willis. And I got the sign fixed. All right, this is a note to Kim. Please go ahead and join me right now, please. There she is.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This is my second episode of the Shawn Show, brought to you by, I got it somewhere, Body Butter Bakery. And the lovely chocolate woman you see on your screen is the procurer of this fantastic product, Body Butter Bakery, and it's Kim Dudley. How you doing today, Kim?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing fine. It's going to be a kind of a heady show, but, you know, it's a Shawn Show, so we're going to do that today. A little bit more serious this week, but we'll still have some antics. Glad to have you here, and once again, thank you for the products. And you see, I got the sign fixed.
Good. It looks good. Perfect.
I got the sign fixed. So, on the show tonight, Kim, we have, like I said, Dante from Ready to Love. He's on the show because we're going to talk about him as being my castmate and all that, his experience on Ready to Love. But we're really going to get his professional experience because he's a deputy corrections supervisor here in D.C. of young men. And so that's something that we're going to tap into on a professional level. We'll have plenty of time to talk about his relationship with Aisha and all that. But, and Tyrone.
Can I ask you about your personal experience?
Yes.
I was just wondering, because, you know, I've never been a black man. Are there ever any times I know, shocker. Are there ever any times where you have to be like over aware of a situation or how you're presenting yourself or how somebody might see you when you're in certain situations? Like, it's two of us in the elevator. Do I,
All the time. I think with black men, when it becomes a situation with other black people, or other, it's just we have a little bit of a lightening of our attitude, or we may puff ourselves up. So in other words, we may not care as much how we present ourselves. We're a little too cool for school. At least is how I feel as a black man, and I'm kind of a button-up dude. So I can imagine other fellas being like, I'm amongst family, I'm cool or whatever. But that's a black experience. But when it's around other folks, and we're gonna definitely get into all these situations, yeah, you definitely have to be aware of that. So you're catching hell from all sides if you're a black man.
Okay.
So, in fact, tonight's episode is going to look at the PTSD side of things that a lot of people don't know that black men are going through. And so Tyrone, who's about to join us in about 2 minutes, he's waiting on the line to jump in. He suffers from PTSD, but he left the country and fought for our country. As a military man, I expect international formed PTSD.
Right.
I shouldn't expect PTSD coming from the streets of Akron, Ohio, or Macon, Georgia, where I'm from.
Right.
And our guest, Dr. Leigh Willis, has studied this notion extensively. So we're going to get into the social scientifics of it, and then we're just going to have a roundtable with Dante, Tyrone, and myself.
Okay.
With that said, you still got your products on. How was your Valentine's Day?
It was no different than the other. I'll say that.
All right. I'm not going to mess with you too much. We got to go soon. But Body Butter Bakery, go to bodybutterbakery.com. Kim was so sweet to give us a code last week. What do you have for us this week? Oh, I heard that you're about to. Did you have a product that you're about to retire for the season? Like, was it Apple?
Yes, and I actually only have 3 units left. Apple Crisp is a seasonal scent, and once these 3 are out of here, they won't be back until October because I got to make room for a new scent.
Okay, so when growing up, Apple lotions and stuff were all the jam with Victoria's Secret. I had a woman who smelled just like apple. She was, she drew roaches. That's how sweet she was.
Don't do that.
But she knows who she is. She was a good smelling woman, but we about to get diabetes hanging around her. But you only got a few left, so they can still order that, right?
Yes, they can order it. They can use the code MENTAL. That'll be 50% off any order until 12 Eastern, midnight Eastern. Code MENTAL, MENTAL.
All right, I'm typing in the website right now. So just bear with me, folks. Bodybutterbakery.com, correct?
That is correct.
And you doing it up again. You giving us a code for 50% off of your products. And the products are good. I'm wearing it right now.
Well, thank you.
I smell great. There's no one here to smell me, but I smell good. I'm probably going to melt under this damn light. But code MENTAL.
Yep.
MENTAL. And Kim, how have been your experiences dealing with, black men, and do you see some of these psychological things in effect what we're about to talk about?
Yeah. So I actually lived through it. I have an ex who suffered from PTSD, and he actually took his own life.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, suicide will be a big part of this. Because people don't understand that black men, I won't give away a stat right now. We'll get into the conversation. I got to bring in Tyrone pretty quickly, but I'm putting up the code now for 50% off. Body Butter Bakery.
Yep. Code MENTAL.
Thank you, Kim. Please stick around and give comments, and we'll chime in. That's the way the show works. We will have comments throughout. I'll share them with everybody. It'll be like a talk radio show, and we're going to get on with our discussions. But thank you so much, Kim, once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, baby. Body Butter Bakery, everyone. That's our sponsor. 50% off code MENTAL is the jam. And we're going to fly in my wingman here, Ty Wilson, who's been waiting patiently. Tyrone, what's happening, brother?
What's going on? Is Kim going?
Kim's gone. Oh, did you want to hang out with Kim?
I wanted to at least say hello, but it's cool.
No, it's okay. Hey, Kim.
How you doing, Kim? I
Kim,
did
sign
ask.
back on real quick so Ty can say hello to you, because I forgot every woman that passed through here, Ty has to say hey to. It's
No,
like
man.
a Vegas casino.
No,
You
no,
can't just
no.
walk these streets without coming to this casino. How's
Nah,
your week?
not at all.
How's your week, brother?
It's been good. No, I just wanted to tell her the topic, that she was just talking about the suicide prevention. I mean, the suicide in her ex. That's actually the topic of the next show that I'm doing with my other good friend Kim, also Kim Franco.
Kim Franco.
She runs suicide prevention for all of the Army.
Now, Ty, your shows are usually presented live on YouTube.
Yeah, they're live.
You got a bigger and better, awesome following.
No, I mean, it's just been a couple weeks, you know. How y'all doing? What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. The lineup tonight, guys, we're going to get into it with our social scientist, Dr. Leigh Willis. He's going to join us in about 12 minutes. And then we're going to have a discussion with him. And then Dante will chime in the second hour around 9 o'clock.
We don't need Dante.
We really don't need Dante. We got
I'm
you,
just
bro.
joking.
We got you, bro. Honey
Who want me
Fun
to flirt?
says we're actors. No, we're not actors.
We're not
I don't know.
actors.
I don't know. That's why. Yeah, but so Ty, yeah, you currently diagnosed with PTSD. You served for the country, right? Which branch of the military were you in?
Army.
Army.
What, year 25, technically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I joined in 96.
And so this is a topic.
Yeah.
But you were international PTSD, so we can draw comparisons when Dr. Leigh Willis joins us.
Okay.
And, you know, the floor will be yours as much as anybody. So we can
Sure.
It's a heavy topic, but before we get to the heavy topics, I did want to talk about a few things that happened. Let's go through these headlines. First of all, the Super Bowl halftime show. First of all, did you watch the Super Bowl? Because last week you were talking about you weren't going to watch Super Bowl.
I mean, I was in and out. I saw the halftime show. You know, I have mixed feelings about the halftime shows.
What are those mixed feelings, Ty?
So those mixed feelings, man, it's always about the dollars, right? It's always about the dollars. And, you know, it just seems like black people just, I don't want to say we're being used and abused, but you could tell the Super Bowl ratings are different when they have the halftime shows that black people are interested in. Did you just switch names out?
No. I just switched the. No. We're gonna bring you up.
No, it's cool.
I just want to let everybody know that this is the rundown, and I'll probably switch it as we go through. Yeah. Let everybody know it's the Shawn Show, but I'm just glad that we got the camera reversed and flipped. No, I feel you. So, like, you know, the thing is, Jay-Z signed on with the NFL, and he's the person who, in large part, is the entertainment provider. I guess because he has aspirations to own a team. Yeah.
I'm realizing, man, almost everything is about the money. Everything is strategic. You know what I mean? It's just all about how you're willing to play it and how you want to be perceived with it. But in the end, it's about the money. So if the NFL feels that they need to add hip hop to, you know, 3 out of every 4 Super Bowl halftime shows, and that's what they're going to do, even if it is from the 90s. Because that's the generation that's paying the most money right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this: how much do you love West Coast rap, or do you?
I mean, yeah. When I was 16, 17, you know what I mean? Like, is Texas considered West Coast? Paul Wall and them?
Not really. Not really.
Okay. All right, name like 5, 6 West Coast rappers then. Snoop, Q,
yeah, you know, everybody that's on stage. Yeah. Everybody who wore all that hot shit, all that black hot shit on stage.
Yeah. Dre, is he a rapper? You know, I don't know.
Dre was more of a producer than a rapper. He rapped out of necessity.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the show was electric. I got more on the show at the bottom of our show. I do have a comment about that. I just find it kind of interesting that, you know, Snoop is 50 years old, still doing Crip shit.
Well, that's his thing.
Yeah, that's his thing, right?
That's what sells for him. Yeah.
That's his thing.
Yeah. And smoking still.
Yeah.
But You know, what would he be if he wasn't smoking?
He wouldn't be Snoop.
Right. So
Just making
I
sure that we
commend him.
traffic in our man. But with that said, I'm going to rank my top 5 shows. I thought it was a great show as far as like the initial energy is like, it's like, wow, these are, when I see black performers like that, especially of our generation, it feels like they're cousins of mine. You know what I mean? With that said, after about 3 to 4 minutes, it's like, y'all might be a little
Yeah.
old doing this stuff. But with that said, you know, they used to have old white folks do stuff all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
the Rolling Stones, U2,
Yeah.
you know. So the age shouldn't be an issue there. But as far as the presentation and all that, it was different. It was like all that Cali shit. That tells you how much money black folks generate in general. That is mainstream. You know, like you got hoopties and dancers and dicky suits and all that shit. I
Yeah.
mean, that's money. But
Yeah.
I still think that Prince's halftime show was the greatest of all time. Are you a Prince
Yeah,
fan?
it's up there. Who else was good? Bruno Mars, I think, was good.
I thought Bruno Mars was probably the second best I ever
Yeah.
seen.
Beyonce
Beyonce might be the third.
crushed it. Yeah.
Beyonce did crush it. And I might put this one below Beyonce, like number 4.
Okay.
And
I don't
then,
even really remember him like that. So maybe that's why. Them
you know,
shits wasn't even memorable.
I'll tell you this. I think Gaga's show was actually better than Beyonce's. I know people might beat my ass for that. And I almost blacked it out
Yeah.
because that was the Super Bowl that my Falcons lost to your Patriots, 28-3. Because
See?
I blacked out
Didn't even
a
watch.
lot of that shit. Ain't
I
gonna lie.
probably was blacked out by that point too.
Well, you blacked out for a different reason because
Yeah.
y'all were down like
Hell
21-3. The Michael Jackson Super Bowl show was kind of generic, and I don't think he sung live. Whereas Prince sung live, and it rained like a motherfucker. And he said,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then the
Yeah.
silhouette comes up and he's playing Purple
Yeah.
Rain in the
Yeah.
rain in Miami.
Yeah.
The Janet Super Bowl is the most controversial and the most memorable, but I wouldn't say it was the best one. So real quick before we bring Dr. Willis on, what is wrong with Kanye West?
Wow. So, how do I say it? He's starting to grow on me from a empathetic standpoint.
You're gaining more empathy for Kanye.
I'm gaining more empathy for him. I can't say I was really a Kanye fan back in the day, you know, but they're dropping a Netflix special on him, a 3-week Netflix documentary on him. And just watching the previews from the documentary, it just kind of hit me. It was like, yo, dude is super, super talented, right?
100%. We throw around the word
Super talented.
we throw around the word genius a lot. And
Everywhere, everything. He's been in a lot. And sometimes the people who are creative in that way, they don't think and act normal because they can't. They wouldn't be who they are if they did.
It feels like he's becoming more unhinged, Ty. You know, he's sort of like when I saw him team up with another fella who seems to be becoming more unhinged, like Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh my God, these brothers are, you know,
Yeah.
they just,
So
yeah.
think about it. What's it gonna take for you to like tune into something that Kanye's doing? Right? He's got to outdo the last thing he did.
He's got to top his stuff.
Yeah, and the last 5 things he did was fucking unconventional, borderline crazy. So he gotta beat that in order for people to continue, you know, rocking with him like that. Is it his music? Is it his brand? Is it his? I don't think it's the shoes, but you know, Kanye's gonna keep Kanyeing, if that makes sense. Kanye gonna Kanye.
Well, his last album was, in my opinion, trash. So hopefully he Kanye's more in the studio because this joint right now is not working for me. Plus, he's giving me O.J. Simpson.
I don't think he's doing it for that. You know, there was a time where Kanye, you know, well, maybe that was his only revenue stream. So I feel like now, I always say treat it like a 401k, where you just keep contributing and adding different shit to your portfolio. So as long as we can keep talking about Kanye, even if it's negative, publicity is still publicity.
All right, so I'm about to bring up our man, Leigh Willis, Dr. Leigh Willis, who back, I want to say, and he could correct me, I want to say that was 2006. So I was a freelance journalist at that time. I just left my other newspaper, and I wrote this freelance report on the chasm between black men and black women.
Yeah.
And I just looked at the psychology of everything, and he was a really great person to as a resource, because he'd done all this research on our heady topic of black men suffering from PTSD, having high suicide rates, all of that stuff. And as I speak of the devil appears. Freelance report. Brother Leigh Willis, how are you, brother? Good to hear from you. Good to see you.
I am doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. First of all, that's my road dog.
Lee, how you doing?
How you doing, brother?
Nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you virtually as well. Let me get all situated.
While you get situated, this is Dr. Leigh A. Willis. It's A. Willis, right? Like Stephen A. Smith? Is it like Leigh A. Willis? Do you use your initial?
That is correct.
Yeah. And if I'm correct,
I do, but I just go by Dr. Law. That just captures it.
That's tight. Now, too bad you ain't a law professor. but I like the hat that you're repping. You see that hat? You see that hat, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, I liked them too back in the day.
Back in the day.
So Dr. Leigh Willis is our first guest here in the Body Butter Bakery studio. Once again, I have it pinned at the top, www.bodybutterbakery.com. Use the code MENTAL, MENTAL. You see it in the chats. You will get 50% off of any products from Body Butter Bakery, and she's only down to 3 units left of the aforementioned apple scent. Leigh, I brought you in because we wrote it, and Dante is due up at 9:05, folks. So be patient, but we're about to get deep. And this is a beer conversation because we're just guys talking about guy shit. Ty, you got a drink?
Of course, I got a little something.
Leigh, do you drink?
Something.
Yeah. I don't. I wasn't prepared, man. I didn't know.
I can set you up if you want to run to the fridge. I can set you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get me some. I'm gonna go get some Uncle Nearest.
Ooh, look at that. So as the sage man, he's gonna get him something to drink. Go ahead, grab your drink.
I'm gonna give me something to drink.
I'll tee you up while we talk about the topic here. So again, for those who are just joining in, this is a Black mental show, and we hyphenated the mentals. And Dr. Leigh Willis is a sociologist, and I used him for what I wanted to be considered as a written conversation for an article I wrote for Iona magazine back in 2007. So 15 years of knowing that man, and he's a fantastic resource. And I'll let him get into more of the story, but he was just going home and in his hometown in Ohio. And if the story is correct, he went and discovered that a lot of people who were his contemporaries and younger were dying or killing themselves, and made him do some research as to what was going on in that town. And the research of that story made way to me, and I extrapolated it further into the segment about Black men today. Now, that was a generation ago. So imagine how the conversation has progressed, or should I say digressed, on this topic when it comes to the state of Black men and what's going on. So he's going to rap with us right now. He's getting his Uncle Nearest. I got myself a hazy IPA, which you can see because now my screen isn't scrambled like last week. And Ty got himself a little something. The other thing about Leigh Willis, before we get into his accolades, and he can talk about himself, he's a big comic book guy. Ain't that right, Leigh?
Indeed.
We have to bring you back so we can talk about all this Marvel stuff. I don't like the current phase, but I think I think it's been spotty. I thought the Spider-Man was excellent though, and I'll get your opinions
Yeah,
on all of that.
these Phase 4 movies, who knows what's gonna happen. But remember, 4 years ago today, Black Panther hit theaters. So wanted to
Yes,
represent for a second.
that's right. Black Panthers hit theater. I saw it at midnight. I didn't even tell the woman I was dating, and gonna pour out a little bit for King T'Challa, and I'm gonna drink the rest of it. Cheers, gents.
Word.
Let's have this
Word.
conversation.
Cheers.
All right, Dr. Leigh Willis, tell us about your background, and we'll get into the conversation.
Sure. I am a medical sociologist by training. I have a PhD in medical sociology, as you would guess. I also have a master's in public health, in intervention development, health communication, and evaluation. So those are my big areas. I also focus on mental health. I just fancy myself as just a general public health practitioner primarily, but was really interested in mental health, interested in men's issues, in mental health in general, fathering, like all those sorts of things, because, I feel like there's a lot of other people who advocate for themselves, but there aren't, brothers, we don't necessarily have the advocates, and sometimes we don't advocate for our own selves. So that was something that I wanted to change, and that's kind of why I got into the health field. So
We have a question here, and Ty, if you could also watch the comments and
I
bring up
see
those
it.
questions. You saw it.
I
The big
see it.
question
Yeah.
from Honey Fun underscores what
I
the
think
fuck
she
is
was trying to
medical
be funny.
sociology. It sounds like you're trying to be funny, so you're not going to add to the conversation. But if you feel the need to extrapolate on that, Dr. Willis, please do so real quick.
what is
Medical
medical
sociology.
sociology?
Yes, sir.
It's the study of the social causes and consequences of health and illness. So basically, how does society kill you in a lot of different ways? Be it, stress, be it maternal and child health, be it institutionalized racism, environmental racism, be it medical training and education, all those different sorts of things. Also looking at, health behaviors, why people, cook, eat, exercise, don't exercise, all those sorts of things. Those are some of the realms, kind of like a quick and dirty answer of what medical sociology is. So it's the application of, sociological principles to health and illness.
How does society kill you? Is the pithy statement there. We lost Ty, but you're still there. So, Ty, when you get your connection, please come back on. Now, Ty, Dr. Willis, Ty is a soldier who fought for our country. He's out of the Army. He's been in the Army for 25 years, went to Afghanistan, suffers from PTSD. Your studies have found that PTSD is occurring for men right now, Black men in America. Domestic PTSD. Can you talk about that with your studies a little bit?
Absolutely. Just as you were saying, like your partner, experienced things, being at war and experiencing violence and traumatic events. We as African American men in this country, depending on the environment that you grow up in, you may experience some of those same, things. I have friends who have, lived in, areas where high homicide, high suicide, just a lot of like violence, and have had perpetrated, seen, done some of those things. And, as a result of that, there's a lot of, PTSD, like what has happened to me? How did I survive? How do I cope? How do I manage? Like those sorts of things. And it turns into a lot of maladaptive behaviors, such as, drinking, a lot of drug use, just inability to form, tight relationships with people. And part of it, one of the bigger things that I have found, and I've learned this, just in experiencing just general, just life events and things I've gone through in the past, few years, is that unfortunately, a lot of Black men, we still don't want to talk about some of the things that we may feel and the things that we may experience. And that's a huge thing. We think that we can do it all by ourselves, and we don't want to talk about it, either with a professional, let alone like our friends. Like, so I really want to commend y'all for having this dialogue, this real honest and open dialogue about men's mental health issues, because I think that it's a huge thing. I mean, if you look at it now, I know, like Shawn, you talked about the auspices under which you and I met in thinking about African American male suicide rate. Suicide and homicide have been really high in our community, especially dealing with the pandemic. We've seen that start to increase more and more over these last, 2 years or so.
Am I correct? When we did that story a generation ago, 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
Suicide amongst like a younger Black demographic, and I don't have the numbers in front of me because I've been running around all day, and like I said, I had a wake to go to basically.
It's
It
all
was like
good, man.
it's like the second or third leading cause of death amongst young
Yeah.
Black men.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
and it's
astounding. Suicide, the second leading cause of death amongst young Black men.
Yeah. I mean, it's been that way for quite some time, and there are some people that have argued that the high homicide rate are maybe reflective of attenuated suicides, where there's such a stigma around committing suicide in the Black community, such that an individual will put themselves in a situation where they'll provoke something where there will be a lethal retaliation, knowing that there will be lethal retaliation. So it's almost like an attenuated suicide, as they call it. So
It's a death
you're gonna
wish.
die.
It's like
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
It's a death wish.
Exactly. Precisely. That's precisely it.
And so this has been exacerbated by the pandemic. And I'm going to let you get in here, Ty, and ask a couple of questions. But I want to put a stamp on this thing. The way we met, and the issue that I discovered upon doing the story that I was doing about Black men and Black women with you, you had a study that you did when you went to your hometown in Ohio, right? By the way, are you a Bengals fan or are you a Browns fan?
Neither. I'm a Steelers fan.
You're one of them. Oh,
I am.
okay.
I am. I'm
But
a
you like the
very
Buckeyes,
proud
right?
Steelers fan.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you didn't give
Yeah.
a shit when Cincinnati lost the way they did.
I mean, I was happy, that Cincinnati made it, because they make it, but they don't ever win usually. But still,
All right. All right.
I didn't have a dog in the fight. I didn't.
All right, copy that. Well, okay, so I want you to talk about this study when you went to your hometown and what you discovered amongst the Black men of your hometown. If that's correct, do you remember that? It was like a study of yes.
Well, yeah. I didn't necessarily do a study in my hometown per se, but just that there were a few situations in the area and a few people that I knew directly or I was 1 degree separated from, where there were these events where these folk had, these brothers had taken their lives, and they were of a variety of different ages. Some old, some young, contemporaries, things like that. But what we began to see, just in this small, kind of area in my small circle, and I will say this too. My father, I'm a second generation social scientist. My dad was a cultural anthropologist, and he said, like, there's something going on, right now in an area and in our in our social circle that we're seeing this start to happen. And then lo and behold, I was able to find some information and get some data for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that was bearing this out, that they were seeing a rise in African American suicide, particularly among African American men at the time. So that's kind of how I got into this, era of doing this research. And then from there, I decided that I was going to actually dedicate, my graduate school career into doing this research, and that was the focus of my doctoral research. And I published a couple papers, and I think that's how you found me. And the rest, as they say, is history. but I still am very, passionate about, African American men's mental health. Since we have talked, there have been, more people who have started to focus on that issue, and there are actually some interventions that have been developed by like the National Institutes of Health that focus primarily on, men of color
Hmm.
dealing with issues of depression and PTSD, and giving people coping resources and things like that. And just even personally in my life, just trying to convene different groups of guys just to be able to talk about whatever it is that you're going through. There's no judgment. We're just gonna come together and talk and just try to help each other.
We definitely got to talk more, and getting men to open up about these things. The
Hmm.
vulnerability piece, as women like to say, is important. Ty, I'm going to let you have the calm. What you got?
Wow. I don't even really know where to start. Where do you think I should start?
I think
There's a
you should.
lot.
How about, it is a lot, and it's a lot to unpack, but we do have time.
Mhm.
How about you go into what you feel when people hear someone has PTSD? I know you spoke about this in different places. Could you at least explain how you feel, and if we have men who feel like you on a domestic piece, that's a good place to start. And then I'll let Dr. Willis volley that with you.
Cool.
Sure thing. Well, my approach to the PTSD and anxiety has always been different. The way I feel is just, things have affected me in the past that make me who I am today. So my approach to that is that that's not necessarily a bad thing unless I'm not acknowledging that, or I have no control of that, or I'm using those things to do malicious acts, right? If you're still a, good person doing the right thing, treating everyone right, then it's just PTSD, right? You can have PTSD because there are things that have occurred that you had no control over, and that's just what it is. You're just finding your way to move on from that. Um, yeah, that's what it is to me.
Do you know your triggers, Ty?
Yeah, I do.
Do you
It's essentially things that I can't control, but
loud
I know
noises,
that.
gunshots,
No,
like
no, no, no.
physical
That's
triggers,
not.
or it's
Well, it's
just
not even that. So it's not even that. So like the 4th of July, I probably wouldn't go far on 4th of
oh,
July because I know how that's going to make me feel. But I know that it's 4th of July, so I'm not, I'm aware that it's 4th of July. Being in the
Got it.
passenger seat when someone else is driving, I don't like that. I don't like crowds. I don't like my back to the door. I don't like things that I can't control. Like if I'm out with my daughter and there's too many people around us, I don't like that. It doesn't mean that I can't handle it. It just means that I'm aware and it's going to
Yeah,
probably bring some stress to me.
got it. So you're more like hyper vigilant in those sort of situations.
Yeah, I'm very intuitive. I always need to know what's going on around me, but it's to a point to where I can see people with their hands in their pockets. I can see people fidgeting. I can see people playing with their hair, people humming to themselves. Like I see everything, and I'm constantly analyzing it all because I've had this fight or flight mechanism for a very long time, and it's hard to get rid of that.
now, Dr. Willis. These sound like
Mhm,
positive things when you acknowledge that you have issues, right?
mhm.
So, but
Hmm.
are you finding, or have you found that the issue now with black men is that the reason we have the suicide rates and the homicide rates is that black men are just acting out instead of channeling that energy towards solutions? How can you juxtapose what I just said there to what Ty
Yeah,
is
yeah. I
doing
think
and what you find?
Yeah, I think it's great because Ty is very aware of, what he is experiencing, and he knows what his triggers are. Whereas I think that some folks don't necessarily know what their triggers are. And they could just, go off. Not only do they not know, well, if you don't know, then maybe the people around you and your loved ones don't know either. So they could inadvertently, do something that may actually
Mhm,
trigger you or put you in a situation where you will be triggered if you don't,
mhm.
necessarily know. So I think that that's a very I think that that's a very important thing to consider. So acknowledging or knowing that you may have things that you need to deal with and things to unpack, and that it might be a situation where it might not ever go away, but it's something that you can live with and manage, and then educating those people around you, because like I have friends who have PTSD, and they will tell me like these are my triggers, and I'm like, okay, like I know
Mm.
that, like when I'm with you I will be aware of that. I will try to do my best to make sure that I don't put you in situations or that I don't do anything that I know that's going to make you uncomfortable. And it's not to the point where I think that they would act out or do anything, but I just want them to feel comfortable. So it's about compassion and understanding of the people around you as well, to help you kind of get through things.
So when it comes
Yeah.
to, so Ty, I'm gonna ask this question and I'm gonna get back to you. So when it comes to brothers in America domestically
Mhm.
who have PTSD, is it still a matter of they have to come to know that they have PTSD? Well, yeah, you go, Ty. Go ahead.
There's a lot to that. So the first thing is that PTSD is not just people who've gone to war. Like there's kids
That's right.
in America that's suffering from PTSD and
That's
are
right.
getting zero support.
That's right.
Zero.
Just all around. So you're saying not just racially, but just
Yes,
people who have issues.
yes,
Okay.
with everything that is going on, people's microaggressions, the way that things are promoted on TV, like you can get PTSD just from being black and having to think about being black almost everywhere you go.
Right. I mean, not to
Uh,
interrupt you, but
yeah.
just looking at the events of the last, 2 years with, George Floyd and everything
Hmm.
else, just watching the news was
Hmm.
stressful. And if someone tells you that that was not stressful, I wouldn't believe you. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. So what I'm thinking is we're not normalizing normal. I'm going to try my best to explain it. It just seems like for black men, success is a high risk, high reward type thing, meaning we're not promoting everything that's in between. We're either promoting
Mm-hmm.
that you're broke or we're
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
promoting that you're highly successful,
Mm-hmm.
when they're not
Right.
seeing success as someone that can be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, because we're not normalizing that. So what I try to do is I try to normalize everyday success. Like there was a tweet that said um, they were asking about people's friends who were making six figures, and people were dumbfounded that that exists. But then I was like, I can't think of any of my guy friends who don't. Do you know what I mean? But people seem to take that as like this extravagant, magnificent thing to the point where they believe that that's an unattainable goal.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to treat it like it is, like it's normal. I've seen people online, they pass an exam for a certification and they act like that's the best thing that could have ever happened to them. And they act like, you know, things are amazing. And I'm just trying to tell them, like, you worked for that. That should be a normal thing. The fact that you can attain something that you've worked for.
Uh, Sherry says, and I want
Hmm.
you to attest to this, both of you, but I'll throw it to Dr. Willis
Hmm.
and then to you, Ty. She
Okay.
says one of the problems is that there is a great distrust of medical providers by black communities. Historically, they used our bodies as science experiments. So what's being said is that the generic distrust on a historic level of black people to go to these same folks who could help you
Uh-huh.
has prevented you from doing things like from get a vaccine to get your mind checked out and get right.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you agree? Both of you agree to that? Can you speak on that too, Leigh?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot that's been done in terms of the knowledge base of medicine in this country and around the world has been done on people of color's black or people of color's backs, and in this country in particular, on Black people. So yeah, so there is a very healthy um, distrust of medicine, and then you couple that with some of the experiences when you're going to see people who don't look like you, don't understand you, and don't treat you the best.
Mhm.
I mean, that can be a very difficult thing to navigate. Hence, you get situations where people don't want to see providers. So
Mhm.
I think that there needs to be some degree of, and I think this is beginning to happen now, is that there's a lot more cultural sensitivity training that is going on in medical programs now, I think. Now, whether or not people use it when they get out, that's a whole nother matter. But I think that at
Mhm.
least a token attempt is being made like for that. And I'm not saying that that there shouldn't be a healthy dose um, of skepticism. But at the end of the day, if you need help, you need to go where you need to go to actually get it. So it's about finding a provider that you feel like you can trust, and that you will feel comfortable trusting your mind and your body too. So there are plenty of African American physicians, African American nurses, like African American therapists, and I'll say it. I am currently seeing a therapist myself. Like I am. I mean, I have no problem
normalizing,
admitting that.
yeah,
Yeah.
normalizing the seeing of this therapist.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll throw it to Ty real quick because I know we're short on your time. Although I'm going to ask you, Doc Law, can you give me 5 extra minutes? Can you
yeah,
extend till
yeah.
nine
No
nine
Yeah.
problem.
ten?
No problem.
So
No
we got
problem.
still 9:10. I'm going to do my radio summation here. We're at the top of the hour here, and we're with Dr. Leigh Willis, a medical sociologist, uh, social scientist, all around guru. He's like a black mental Dr. Fauci here, talking about black male mental issues and PTSD amongst us. We also have Ty Wilson as my wingman, as you're known to see him, and
Mhm.
he's also I won't say a sufferer of PTSD, but he's managing it. And I'm going to throw this question to Ty, and then let Ty moderate for a second.
Yeah.
Ty, are you talking to people? Are you talking to someone on a therapeutic level? And what do you think it takes for men, particularly black men, people of our hue, to start opening up about certain things? You got it.
Yeah. The first question, no, but I am looking for someone. The second question is, we mentioned trust, and the trust is huge. And finding someone that you trust that can also be influential is huge. We talk normalizing it. What I was going to say is, we don't talk about going to the doctors enough and taking care of yourself on a physical level. And I chuckled earlier because for like 4 or 5 months, when I had the cough from anxiety, my mom was telling me, Ty, like, you need to go see someone. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it'll go away, it'll go away,
Hmm.
it'll go away.
Hmm.
And what's funny is because I subconsciously live with that distrust to a point to where I make jokes about it. When people are like, why are you colorblind? Or how, I don't understand that. I always joke and say the Tuskegee experiment,
Mm-hmm.
right? It probably
Mm-hmm.
came down to me from the Tuskegee experiment. So subconsciously, I'm still living it. I'm still living with that distrust. We were just talking about the police the other night where you're completely innocent, but for some reason, you kind of cringe up a little bit. And I
Yeah.
feel like we need to normalize it being okay by influential people. I always say things like, if Jay-Z can get millions of people to get dirt off their shoulder, he can get millions of people to not cheat on their wives. He can get millions of people to go get checked up, right?
Yeah.
But that's not where it's at,
Or
So,
or just to go back to what y'all were talking
uh,
about Kanye. I mean, it's
mhm,
clear Kanye is suffering from,
something, yeah.
he's at least bipolar. And this is just my armchair,
Hmm.
diagnosis.
Well, the word
But
is
if
that he's at least off his meds in the bad
Hmm.
way, like not in like I'm gonna wean myself off. He's off his meds and just ain't
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, he said that he wasn't going to take them because he didn't like how they made him feel. I saw that in the interview. Um, and I think that, like, if someone like that were to say, okay, yes, I'm bipolar, I'm whatever, but I'm taking my meds, I'm seeing a therapist, all those other things, like Ty is saying, like that would do. There would be so many brothers beating down the therapist's door, at that point to get the help
Hmm.
that they need. It would be tremendous. It'd be
Yeah,
tremendous.
yeah, indeed. But there was looks like who said that? There was mention of safe spaces.
That was Sherry, uniquely
Needing to
Sherry.
create, yeah, think uniquely shared, creating safe spaces. I think it's the other way around. I think we need people who are strong enough to come out and say this is what it is. Because a safe space means like it needs to be a secret that you're saying it because you're in this environment, as opposed to saying, hey, it's out. This is what it is. I need help. There's really nothing wrong with me, but there are things that affect me, and having that be normal, right, and not being frowned upon if someone was to come out with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We got about 7 minutes or so left with Dr. Leigh Willis,
Uh-huh.
medical sociologist and all-around good man, because he's bringing up topics that a generation of folks have longly ignored, and that's Black male mental health. I know that there's some women on here who say, well, what about the Black female? I actually saw that, and I appreciate that topic, but I feel like one thing that women do more than men is talk a
Yeah.
lot. A lot. Women have different coping mechanisms. Now, whether those coping mechanisms are healthy or not, you all do have them because you're allowed to have them as a woman. As a Black man, you're supposed to be Superman and Heathcliff Huxtable, not Bill Cosby, but Heathcliff Huxtable at the same time. All right.
Mhm.
I do have an update. I do have an update for those who are here to see Dante. Dante literally just texted me. Because of the nature of his job, I got the text right here. So I don't want to hear nobody saying it was false advertising. What's good, Shawn? Not going to be able to make it tonight. Still working and going to be busy. Lock in for the night. Apologies for the late notice. So what I mean by that is that Dante's not going to make it unless he shows up late if we run long. This show is scheduled for 2 hours. We'll have overtime if Ty wants to continue to chat. But we only have like 6 or 7 minutes with Dr. Law. And I'm going to bring on, hopefully, a surprise guest or two so we can keep the conversation going. And
You know
different
what?
conversations.
I'll stay on a little bit longer.
You'll
Yeah.
stay on a little bit longer.
It's needed.
As
I'll do
needed.
that.
We
Yeah.
got
I'll do that, man.
Let me tell you something.
Mhm.
That means we're talking some good stuff. Because Lee's like, look, all right, man, I got 30 minutes. I don't know. I could watch something else. But he's like,
I'll
no.
help you out, man. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need
help me.
help.
Help me out, brother.
That's what we got to do. Brothers got to help brothers.
Yeah.
So
And stretch me
there
out
it is.
because our sponsor, Kim Dudley, mentioned that the father of her son killed himself, and she's willing to come back and talk about it in the bottom half of the hour. She's the one that's sponsoring us right now. You see the pinned, very good stuff. Bodybutterbakery.com, code MENTAL for 50% off up till midnight on the East Coast tonight. 50% up till midnight Eastern time.
Yeah.
And Kim's going to come back and talk about her situation right around the time when Leigh leaves us. I'm going to start calling you Leigh now because you decided
That's
to hang
fine.
out.
That's totally
But I always want to give Black people who earned that degree their respect. You're not just some Black person talking mess. You know what you're talking about. You've done the studies. You've seen it in action. And you can see the progression or digression. So with that said, I'm going to ask you something, Leigh.
Sure.
What did you think about that halftime show?
Oh, the halftime show.
Because I have an essay at the end of it. I had an essay at the end of this. But what do you think about that?
I enjoyed it. I wish that it would have been like 10 years ago. Because I think with the Super Bowl, they're always late with most things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that given that, hip hop and Dre and all of them have been a force for so long, like they're kind of getting them at the tail end. I mean, I thought it was cool that they had Kendrick because, Kendrick is still, popping.
Relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. And in many ways, he's taking, I love that Dre included him because he's like taking that baton for the West Coast, him and his, TDE folk and all of that. I thought that it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was phenomenal. I know there were a lot of haters, people that didn't like it and claimed they weren't going to watch, and that was
Yeah,
fine.
there were. Yeah. Is it top 5 show?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I
It,
would give it. Yeah, it's definitely top 5.
who's
It's
your top show?
definitely
Do you have a top show?
Prince.
He killed it, right?
Yeah, Prince totally killed that, and the fact
Yeah.
that it was raining and he did Purple Rain, like that was
God.
just you just can't script it better than that, right?
And Prince said, like they said, and we're gonna get back to the conversation. Prince said, and by the way, all of this will tie in at the end of my essay, so stick around for Shawn Says. Prince actually said at the press conference before the show when he found out that was rain in the forecast, and he said, "Can you make it rain harder?" He literally,
Wow.
he's like, I'm gonna sing live. I'm gonna have Bethune-Cookman do their thing, doing "Let's Go Crazy," and it was brilliant. All right, so we're here with Dr. Leigh Willis, Leigh A. Willis, but we're calling him Leigh now, and he's gonna stick around until about 9:15, 9:20, and then we're gonna transition to our next guest after that. But so when we talk about creating these safe spaces, there are 70% of our audience last week were women, Ty. So Black women, are they responsible for creating the safe space? I know Black women hate to be asked a lot. They want men to be in good standing when they meet them. And they shouldn't be in the position to rehabilitate a man. But is there a way you think that we as a society can talk about how important it is to say, hey, brother, are you okay? Without making it seem like it's a bad thing to have mental issues for Black men? I know it's a loaded question.
I think it starts at home. I don't think we could, make women responsible for, our mental well-being. That's a lot of pressure to put on them to have to think about what this dude is like mentally, and I need to cater to that. So I think it starts with you. It starts at home. I think it starts, amongst ourselves. And, I mentioned that I'm not a fond of that safe place talk because it feels like you need to hide it from the world. I think your safe space is wherever you are. Like, I don't really care if people think I'm soft or think I'm crazy for talking about it, because I feel like that's the approach that everyone should have.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody at the same time, you are different. Everybody's different. And it could be that someone has to be in a safe space till they get to the point where they are comfortable and okay being able to stand out and say, like, this is, what's going on with me and I don't care. So, I mean, I totally respect you for being, able to do that and not being worried and concerned. But I think that there for whatever reason, there are a lot of other, people who don't feel like they can do that, at least not that they can't do it ever, but they just can't do it right away.
No, I totally understand. I've heard people say that, they worry about how it may affect their job, how it may affect potential business deals, people's willingness to work with you, even relationships, even child custody, things like that. So I totally get it. I understand, which is why I'm trying to make it seem like it's not a bad thing. I try my best to try to explain it in a way that people shouldn't look down on you. People shouldn't try to use your vulnerability as a weakness to target you.
I'll say it, like, fuck it. I'll say it. Black women have
Come on, Shawn.
No, I'm going to do this real quick. Black women use terms like protect my peace, girl. My mental is. Black women accept everything for Black women. There's another side to that coin. And if you can't understand that men need that too, then you're not understanding what the relationship is about. Men are not birth knowing directions to shit and having the answers to shit. We're people just like you. Now, we have to be formed and forged differently to be the man that you want. But we're so screwed up as a society right now black men are catching hell from all comers and sides. And so I'm not trying to like just like litigate black women, but I'm saying if black women allow for certain spaces amongst them, they need to allow those same things amongst men. Now, I'm not the type of brother to say like, look, brother, you need to do everything that these women do. You know, I think that men and women have different formulances. I just believe that.
We have
That's
different ways of being. Yeah.
Different ways of being. But it does not mean that as human beings, we do not need the same things, just in different ways. And so that's why I say it like that. So I don't want to tiptoe around that. Now, you may want to step away from that, but remember the views and opinions expressed by this show or Shawn Shaw's alone, as long as this is called the Shawn Show.
You know,
I mean,
go ahead, guys.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I know, like, recently, like, I lost my father and I lost two of my uncles, you know, that I was close with.
God bless.
And, you know, like, yeah, it's all good. And I'm married, you know, I have a 5-year-old, and my wife, you know, she would just ask me, she'd be like, how are you doing? And like, we've been married for 11 years, and like, I could just tell her, I'm not doing good. I'm just gonna be honest with you, honey. I'm just not doing good. And she was like, okay, like, number one, the fact that she asked, like, that means that she's observed, you know, that I'm off, right? Without me really having to like say much. And she did ask me, and I told her, and she was like, you know what, you should think about going to see your therapist again, you know. And she didn't say it in a way that made me feel less than, like, you need to go talk to your therapist. Like, it was not like that at all. But she was like, I think, you know, perhaps you should consider going back to your therapist. And that was like the little push that I needed to like actually go back, you know, and do that. So that's just, you know, that's just food for thought. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is when a woman is in tune with her man, like, she'll know when you're off. And you know, I'm not gonna say that all black women are gonna attack you. Like, some of them, I think they generally want us to be well, just in general. And so they will say, you know, they will they'll give us the push and the nurturance that we need in order for us to get well. Excuse me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with you, Shawn, and definitely hear you, Leigh. You know, having a woman that allows you, you know, that puts herself out there to be your emotional and mental safe space, like, that really puts you in a place where, like, you would never want her to go anywhere. So just, you know, I would say for women to just be a little empathetic.
Right.
You know, that something may be there. And you hit it right on the head, right? Don't be trying to clown me because I'm having a bad day or I'm having a bad week. And you're just going to come at me like, man up. You know, like, I'm going to probably seek, you know, my mental and emotional safe place elsewhere. Right. And then you're going to wonder why I'm not talking to you. And it's because I don't feel emotionally safe around you.
And what I will also say, though, now, there's always a caveat to this. Women, that does not mean you need to engage a man who may not have sorted these things out. I'm not saying you need to fix a man, but if you're with a man in general, everybody's mentals are different, and understand and recognize that we may need to sort those things out if we're in a certain space with you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean we're about to turn into Kanye or Antonio Brown or whomever. Okay.
Right.
Doing the radio thing real quick, 9:16. We got like 3-4 more minutes with Leigh Willis here. Dante had to cancel because the nature of his job as Deputy Superintendent of Corrections here in DC, he has a lock-in that is actually difficult. We were going to get him on to talk about his observances with the youth and all that stuff, and talk about it on a more not social scientific way, but just actually observances of people that he's dealt with going through that car wash of the correction system. And so we will bring him back on because we're going to talk to him about a number of stuff, including y'all, Ty, hanging out at parties and didn't call me this weekend. How y'all gonna
Um,
call me? What the hell? What you talking about?
yeah, that's been a touchy subject.
What? Calling me?
Nah, just the fact that we was there.
Oh, yeah, y'all shouldn't have. Oh, well, oh, that's a different thing. Oh, I see. Oh,
Yeah,
right. That's a whole nother thing. That's some Ready to Love drama. Leigh, did you watch Ready to Love? Does your wife watch Ready to Love?
My wife watches it, and
Did
I
she
think
have
she is watching y'all season, I believe.
Oh, she's catching up.
Yeah,
Yeah. What? Oh, great. She ain't got no opinion yet. so you'll
she
you'll
does it.
inbox me when she has an
hmm
opinion.
Yeah, I'll let y'all know. I'll be like, oh, this is what my wife said about y'all,
hmm
No,
Yeah.
but
So,
I
like,
told her y'all were
mhm.
good cats, though.
Leigh, how often do you have these type of conversations with your core group of guys?
Um, like I would say just depending on you mean just like a free flowing conversation about what's
Yeah,
going on with us and
what's going
like
on, Jay? Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
like our mental I would say probably about once a week. Like I have friends that I may talk to every day,
hmm
just to check in. Yeah, I would definitely say that. And what they will say, what I will say to them is I'm like, look, man, I really need to holler at you about something.
Yeah,
And we're to that point where we know, okay, this is going to be, kind of like a pack your lunch. I need to listen,
yeah.
be responsive, those sorts of things.
hmm
Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. Now, I will say we did not start off that way, though,
Mm-hmm.
you
hmm
know, um, and we did have a friend we had a friend that passed away, and that actually brought us closer. We
hmm
said that we would always check in on each other, that we would always
uh
tell each other that we loved each other, which is like a very
Yeah,
rare thing, seeing black men in their 20s saying, man, I love you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
yeah,
Which is
yeah,
very rare. But it was something that we said that we were going to do. So I try to do that and encourage that in all my friends. So I'm fortunate in that, usually at least once a week, we may not get together as a big group. It may be like one-on-ones and things like that. But yeah, we do check in with each other.
yeah. That's good. We recently just started making that normal, but it was the political climate and
Mm-hmm.
it was COVID that made us
Mm,
start having these conversations, and we realized that they were needed, so we
mm.
started having them more often.
Got it. Got it.
So it's good, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't take near death experiences for the work. It shouldn't take pandemics
Right.
Right.
for that to occur. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. One thing I would encourage guys to do, I'm gonna challenge both of y'all to do this, right?
Okay.
I used to do this when I lived in Athens, when I lived in Birmingham, and when I lived in Atlanta. I haven't really done it in a long time, but we would get a group of guys together, like about maybe 10 of us max, and we would just go to breakfast one Saturday morning.
yeah,
And there
we
was
do.
yeah, good, good,
Yeah,
good, good. Because there's
we
no
call.
agenda, there's no nothing. You can come and talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, we
And
have a. Yeah,
okay,
With my core group here in DC, and Ty needs to start smoking to do this, but we have our grievances at the cigar shop.
yeah,
We we
we get a
smoke on
stick. We
those.
go to the cigar. We
Get a
have a
stick and we
good
smoke.
steak.
Yep.
You
that's
know,
what's
Yep.
up.
and we
That's what's
just
up.
chat it up about business, the
Okay.
family,
Well,
all
And,
that stuff.
and
I
for
tell
the
you
fellas
what, when
watching, yeah.
y'all get ready to come to Atlanta, let me know, and I'll put you on to a couple spots, and
Okay,
we'll
that's what's
we'll
up.
do that. We'll holler.
Hey, I think I
Okay,
already did a cigar social club, and uh, I did Cam's joint fellowship. Fellowship
Okay.
is
okay,
fellowship is nice. The food is great, and the scenery
okay.
is sensational. All right, we're gonna wrap up here. As a guest of the Shawn Show, as a featured guest of the Shawn Show, and being such a great sport, Dr. Willis will get a signed, autographed hard copy of Broke, a novel on
Word.
men trying to get it together, which is on this topic because I wrote this book about four guys of different statuses of life and their narratives of how the story is told. First person accounts, all four of them, which tie together, is done as if they were talking to someone on a couch.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's sort of like black men expressing themselves with the freedom to express themselves, the way they express themselves with all the craziness that we do and we get into. And it's broke. It's available on my website at www.jsd.com for you to get a signed copy. Ty has a signed copy. He's still stuck on the first
Word.
chapter, but that's all cool.
I have one more question, one more follow-on
Yeah,
question
please,
for
before we let him go.
Dr. Leigh.
Sure.
How do I phrase this? You know, you are a successful guy, right? How do you feel your success affects your ability to relate to the youth when it's time to have conversations like this?
Yeah. That's a really important question. I mean, I think that in some ways it's about remembering when you were their age, what your hopes, what your dreams were, what people shared with you, what people didn't share with you. Um, I think that in some ways they may see like, the kind of car you drive, the clothes that you wear, and they may think
Mm-hmm.
that it's not relatable necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once they begin to actually listen to what it is that you're telling them, that it's okay. I mean, you can make money and still listen to rap music and, do
Oh
all
yeah.
kinds of like fly shit. I mean, because I used to think like when I grow up, when I hit 40, I'm gonna be lame automatically, right? But now that I'm like 47, I know that ain't the case because I don't think I'm lame. I may be, but I
Yeah.
don't know. But anyway, yeah, I think that can be kind of a challenge just in general because I think kids, these up and coming generations are very different just because
Mm-hmm.
the world is very different. Like we didn't have no Instagram, we didn't have no camera phones and like all of that kind of stuff and people constantly watching.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I can still hear you. I think my food
yeah,
burning.
yeah, yeah, cool. But
You
I
got
think
food
at the
going on.
end of the day, I think people are still going to be people. So I think that there is a way to cut through and connect. And I have been able to connect with some young people. And I have like younger like nieces and nephews and so I'm able to they keep me young.
That's that's encouraging
Good
because
stuff.
sometimes we don't know if these kids are listening to us. We want to be old. We've become old men. We're all Generation Xers shaking our fists. In fact, I have my essay at the end of the show, Shawn Says, is about our relationship as Generation Xers with the young folk. We're going to let that be the last word for you, Leigh. It's 9:24
Okay.
past the hour. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Willis.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, brothers. I
we
enjoyed coming
Nice to meet you,
on.
man.
Yeah.
please
Mm-hmm.
Nice
come
to
back.
meet you as well.
We're gonna like keep abreast of this topic, but we're also gonna be sunnier as well and talk about the Marvel universe and if DC is catching up. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And I will encourage you guys, me and my boys, me and three other brothers, we have a podcast called Stuff We Like, Stuff We Hate, where all we do is chop it up about Marvel, DC games,
Mm-hmm.
comics, like collectible toys, like all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll shoot y'all the link to it and y'all can check it out.
Okay.
We're like about like 40 episodes deep in it, and it's
That's what's up.
hilarious.
Oh
That's what's
well,
up.
just sound like some cool
Yeah.
40-year-old geek shit that I love.
Yep, and grouchy old black man.
Grouchy old black men who ain't shaved in a little bit and
Right, right.
tired of all this mess. I love it. I love it. Thank you, brother,
Uh,
so much. We're
all
gonna wrap
right,
with you and
Mm-hmm.
stay black. Talk to you
all
soon.
right. Love y'all, man. Take care.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Talk to you.
Really great conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at 25 past the hour. Ty, that was a really good conversation. We do have Kim Dudley, who dropped us quite a cliffhanger. She's about to fly in so she can discuss a little further about what happened with her then love of the life who suffered from mental illness as well, or had a mental issue that taken his life. Before we bring her on, just to recap for folks who are looking for Dante from Ready to Love, our castmate, Dante is still held up in a lock-in for DC Corrections because he's superintendent of DC Corrections. He has to handle business. He's got to handle the lock-in. We're going to bring him back as soon as we can. I showed y'all the text. Dante is not only a man of his word, he is quite a dude. And you talk about a brother who comes from Chicago. He has tons of insights about what's going on with our black youth and all that stuff. I feel like we're doing that old public public access shows. You know, what's going on with the black youth? But what do you think about that conversation, Ty, before we bring in Kim real quick?
I think it was good. It's kind of, I think it's important, moving forward that we try to stay on topic.
Yeah. Yep.
It can get really deep. I felt like it was getting there. You know what I mean? I wanted to keep going. This is so much more to talk about too.
We're definitely gonna bring him back. He only promised me like 30, 35 minutes. We actually stretched 45 minutes with him. But yes, we're definitely gonna bring him back because we were just scratching the surface on all this. And also, this is a good time, real quick, before we bring in Kim, for you to plug your show that you have on your mental health journey.
Yeah,
that's coming up on Sunday. Before we bring in Kim.
Yes, we have another episode of the mental health journey. This time it's with Kimberly Franco. She lost her brother to suicide. She started an organization called One Common Bond, the number one common bond. She's military as well. And part of her military job is to, she's a civilian now, is to run suicide prevention for all of the Army. So not only do you get to hear her story of suicide and how she's handling that, but also from the other end, where she has to be the strong one and write letters and create cards and send care packages, and how that could affect you if you're spending years and years and years, sending 4, 5, 6 care packages a week, because it's suicide, not war, right? Not the military, not being deployed, suicide. And you feel like it's something that you could prevent. And there's a lot that goes with that when that doesn't happen. So we get to hear her story, not to say too much, but yes.
On a terrible segue, we bring in, but it's a fitting segue, we bring back our sponsor from Body Butter Bakery, Kim, who we're so blessed to have her share her personal story. And I'm going to just share with you what she said to me when I told her that Dante couldn't show up. She said she was willing to talk about it, but she didn't want to talk about it in front of her daughter, because this is the man that, this is the father of your daughter. Correct, Kim?
Yeah.
But we're so grateful for you to come back. Wearing that lovely blue, by the way, and that skin is effervescent. She is our sponsor, Body Butter Bakery. This is a crude sponsorship because of the topic, but she's willing to share with us her mental health journey with her ex-man, and there's a discount available, as you see in the pinned quote, 50% if you type in mental and purchase something by midnight Eastern time tonight. Kim, welcome back. Can you please share with us what you started to share with us earlier?
Yeah, so I was in a relationship for maybe just a year. It went very fast. He moved in probably, we lived in different states. We traveled back and forth. And he moved in maybe 6 months after we started dating. We had my daughter when she was 1. He decided that it would be a great idea to set the house on fire and hang himself. So I lost everything, including him, everything we owned. And that was in 2010, and I haven't been back to that house since. I went and visited the house.
Was that the house you posted last week?
That was the house. It was actually my parents owned the house, so it was my childhood house. So it instantly went from being my childhood house to the house my ex passed in. It's no longer my childhood house to me. It's crazy.
So this went from, I'm going to just try to encapsulate this, a place where you have family memories.
Yes.
To a house of horrors.
Yes.
Now, were you and your daughter in the house when he decided to do this?
No, she was with my parents because they were both retired. They were daycare. She was with my parents, and I was at work. And the cops came to my job, told me what happened, and that was that. I was numb. I stayed in a room for maybe a year and a half. I didn't talk to anybody. It was a tough time.
Thank you for sharing that. And if you want to go, like, we're not going to keep you long. But Ty, do you have any questions for Kim when it comes to negotiating someone who
No,
has this
no.
happen?
If anything, I would say, I commend you for being public and being strong enough to talk about it. I pray that you continue to have that strength, to be able to, let that come out of your mouth. The closure, I don't even know if I can speak to having closure, but I hope
I don't
you can
look for
get to a
closure.
place.
I don't expect to get any.
Hmm.
It's just something you learn to navigate around. You don't really heal from
I understand, but I pray for the strength for you to have, continually throughout your life, and for your little one as well.
Has it been a keep on moving type of thing for you, Kim?
it.
Just
Yeah.
keep moving, one
So
foot in front of the other?
the way I operate is I stay busy to not think about it.
And this is year 12,
Yeah.
correct?
But when you live with somebody that looks
Hmm.
like them,
Hmm.
it's a daily reminder.
You said your daughter does not know.
No. I told her about the house fire. I'll probably tell her that
So
he
you told her,
actually hung himself when she's maybe 18, maybe 21, as long as I can hold it. Because I don't want her to ever feel any kind of responsibility for it. Like, why didn't he do it before I got here? Why did he wait? Am I the reason? I don't want to introduce any crazy thoughts. So I hopefully no family member will tell her before I get to, but no, she doesn't know. I don't think she can handle it right now.
wow. Did you see any type of signs of this? Looking back, have you rewound it to see if you could see some signs of this man doing this?
I should have, I think, like explosive responses to small situations, maybe. Um,
Volatility,
yes,
irritable and volatile.
yeah,
Oh.
yep, unjustifiably so. And his mother is actually still on the street. So is it hereditary? I don't know, but she's bipolar. His mother is. So was he? I don't know if he was. He wasn't treated for it, or he didn't tell me about it. I feel like I may have missed signs, but like I said, we were together. Everything happened so fast, and we were living in different states until he moved in. So I probably wasn't exposed to signs.
How old was he?
Born in 75.
Jesus, he was probably my age. He would have been my age. I'm 45, I'll be 46, and I'm born in 76. So he's our contemporary, Ty. Because Leigh was born in the year I think that he would be. So
Mm.
the men you're talking to right now would be around the age of what he is now. You're younger than that, by the way. Let's let everybody know this is correct up. Like she's younger than that, and she's all beautiful. And you see the skin because Body Butter Bakery, and
Get another drink.
Ty's gonna get a refill, but we're so blessed to have Kim not only sponsor us, but because we like to have conversations on good stuff, but she's also shared something very personal, and I hope you all are very respectful of that. But if you go on to Body Butter Bakery tonight by midnight, she's blessed us with the code 50% off, and the apple body butter is about to be retired for the season.
Yep.
She has three units of that left. CPI Be Real says thank you, Kim, for sharing. And her prayers are with you and your daughter's continued strength and blessings. And she also said that she just bought some of the stuff in an earlier post.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Kim's story, guys, is that this is a working woman. She was a cosmetologist for several years. I come from a hair family. You don't see it, but I come from a hair family.
Obviously.
Obviously, my mom, cosmetologist, my late father, master barber. And I could go into that for other stories. So I know how tough that work is. A working woman down there in Florida, and she started making body butter out of curiosity. What was it? It was pandemic work. What was it again?
I was selling a private label company's body butter in 2017, and I just started making my own recently to stop buying theirs, and it blew up. So now that's what I do full time.
And she's been doing it full time since October. She is
Congrats. Hmm.
absolutely. She is
Thank
hiring
you.
because she needs some more hands on deck because she is a one woman machine, but she cranks the joints out. You have not received a copy of my book that I sent out because I'm sending it very cheap mail. I
Okay.
already sent it cheap mail. Her stuff came out within 48 hours when she said she'll send it out to me. So Kim is on the money. And I know we just had Valentine's Day, but y'all could have found out last week. I should have told you. She also has edible body butter bakery.
I didn't mention. Yeah.
You sure didn't. You
I
would have sold a lot
forgot
more.
about it.
Because
Yeah.
you know a lot of women like the edible. Actually.
Yeah. And that's popping too. But you can buy that year round. You know, Valentine's Day is every day if you in a real relationship, if you ask me. But anytime you can buy the Bay Butter, BAE Bay Butter. It's the edible with body butter.
The Bay Butter is
Yeah.
available. So go to the website, check out all her stuff. Once again, she's our lead sponsor of the show. Body Butter Bakery. It is tagged, it's pinned on the site. Code mental 50% until midnight tonight Eastern time. We're 38 past the hour. Kim, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before I let you go? And Ty, is there anything you'd like to ask Kim?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I didn't want
good.
to put a damper on your
I'll
night.
end up crying up here,
Yeah, I'm
man.
sorry.
No, well, don't worry. We can
Yeah.
get real ignorant real soon.
Okay.
So, you know, all right, so I'm going to keep you on here, see what you think about this. And Ty, this relates to you too. You know, we'll have our little banter before we close out the show a little bit. Does edible come with a code for man? No, why Divine 21. The edible does not, but someone just bought the Bay Butter. Miss Don't Believe the Hype, come back and tell us how it tastes. Giggity. So I have my announcement. I also promoted an announcement for the show. If you're living in the DMV area, ladies and gentlemen, the Soul Date, my dating service for Black and brown people, is back. And we have a date and we have a location. March 19th, if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, we will be at, drum roll, Kitchen Crave, Virginia, March 19th. Mark it on your calendar. Kitchen Crave, Virginia in Alexandria, Virginia, March 19th. We will give you the time, but I'll tell you this, they're already hooking us up with a special happy hour for our daters. And Ty, you gonna date?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Ty said he's gonna be there. Hey, Ty, you
I'll
gonna
be
date?
there.
Should be all dated out by now.
Let me tell you something,
Huh?
Kim. That dating was not dating. That was some other. Some of that was some other stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah.
our Ready to Love dating experience is way different from the speed dating difference. I will be the host. We will have live. We'll have some great music. We have a live DJ there. We'll have happy hour specials. So stay tuned. More information will come on Shawn Show and at J. Shawn Durham Inc. Kim, thank you so much, baby. God bless you. How old is your baby, by the way? How old is
She's
your
12.
12.
Yep.
Such a fresh situation.
It feels
And
like it
and one foot in front of the other.
every
And
day. Sunday and
women
Saturday.
like you, lets men like us know that you all are genuinely the stronger beings.
Mm.
And that's why it's important for us to recognize this and make people comfortable expressing themselves however they need to, so we can acknowledge problems and get things sorted out so we cannot shatter families.
Mm.
May God bind up your wounds and continue to bless you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, babe.
Mhm.
Whew, Ty, some deep stuff, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to tell my story because I definitely didn't handle my suicide experience with a friend the same.
Did you not want
Yeah.
to tell that story with her on the line?
I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
Do you want to? Would you share it with us, or is that?
Sure. It's probably not a good tone right now, but it is my experience. I had a friend who actually slit his wrist in my place.
Jesus.
And yeah, he slit his wrist in my place, and I just remember being upset. I remember being upset. I probably wasn't thinking about death at that time. The blood was coming out of his wrist like a water hose. And I just remember I remember being mad that he did it. And then I remember being mad that he was getting the place messy. So distinctly remember saying something like, if you're going to, I was like, at least go sit in the tub because you're getting blood everywhere. And it was because, I saw him and he was just kind of just standing there like in the doorway. So I took my shirt off. I went to go walk, run up to him to wrap his wrist. And he was fighting me, like, get off of me, get off of me, get off of me, let me die. And I was like, damn it, go sit in the tub then, because you're getting blood everywhere. And he starts stumbling to the tub. And I was like, I'm going to freaking let my friend walk to the tub. And I remember this trail of blood coming out, and it was just going everywhere as he was walking. And then at that point, he was visibly getting weak and stumbling, and he'd been drinking shit. And then that's when we finally was able to snatch him up, wrap him up, and get medical attention. But that was my the closest experience I've had to suicide. And I realized that I didn't really want to say that story because my approach was totally different. I didn't. Fortunately for me, I had the opportunity for my friend to still be here.
He did survive.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
He did.
Miss Independent Woman asked, what was his reason? Did he have mental issues? Well, clearly there were some mental issues there, but do you have a reasoning behind, first of all, what was going on with him? And
It was
secondly,
over a woman. Said she don't love me no more. I said, what are you doing? He said she don't love me no more. And she was sitting right there, and I was like, man, fuck her. Just like that.
I actually want to say your answer was proper, not the other totality of everything, but it's just a reminder. Then we don't know what in our minds small or trivial things may trigger other people to want to destroy themselves. And so when you negotiate your lives and your conversation with folks, that's why we need to speak love more. And we're about to get to my close. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And we don't speak love and compassion for people now. It's all about I'm doing me and I and all these pronouns, me, I, and we demonize everybody else we come into contact with. And I want to say to you again, thank you for the honesty of you telling a story where generically you would be considered the villain because of your cavalierness about it. But, we go through things and things happen to us. We're talking about mortal situations. And now we're left to deal with it. Somebody who has a mental issue now has put on your lap a mortal situation. And I appreciate you, and thank you for being my friend, by the way. And thank you for being so open. And people like you and Kim.
It'd be getting me in trouble sometimes.
Probably. Some people don't want to relive or relitigate those things.
Yeah.
John Bucksmill, Gmail's. I had a friend who used to live on my block. He committed suicide a day after his twin girls had graduated from high school. Oh,
hey, hold on to the suicide stories, y'all. We got a good one coming up this weekend.
Yeah, so
I would love to hear all you all. I mean, I know it's tough, but if you're willing to share, I would love to hear your stories. I know Kim, who's going to be on, would love to hear your stories considering what she does, the suicide prevention. She would love to know that what she is doing is helping someone.
So we're about to wrap up the actual formal part of the show. And
But we ain't going nowhere.
but we ain't going nowhere. We're gonna have IG. We're gonna have IG extra. But
We ain't going nowhere.
But we're about to wrap for us to have our
Mm-hmm.
cut point for the podcast. But Ty, real quick, give everyone the location and time of your show, My Mental Health Journey with Ty Wilson.
We try to do them every Saturday. The times vary. This time it's going to be 11 a.m. So normally from 11 to 12, we'll go over because of the topic. And I just want to normalize the fact that things have affected us. And we have some really, really good topics coming up. I just mentioned Kim. We're going to have a men's panel with all of the fellas that have been on. And then after that, we're going to start diving into the topics for women. So Sabrina and Aisha from the show, along with one of my friends, Cameo, is going to come on. We're going to have a panel to talk domestic violence. And if you've ever seen them talk domestic violence, you know it's passionate and all that. So not only do I want us to talk about it, I also want to, in the end, find ways to either help folks cope or find resources to get better. And if it means we need to make a safe space and, having our lives, our IG lives or our YouTube lives be the safe space, then fine. For those moments, for that hour and a half, 2 hours, it can be their safe space. And hopefully they won't think about it too much once we end, because I know that even happens to me. Like I go to bed thinking, damn, like I talked about a lot of stuff tonight.
So that is My Mental Health Journey with Ty Wilson. It is live at 11 a.m. this Saturday. Saturday, right? But also, if you miss it live, of course, it will be posted on his YouTube page. YouTube channel. Is that Ty Wilson 21?
Yep. Yes, I'm Ty Wilson 21 everywhere, y'all. Sorry about that.
And guys, I have a YouTube page as well. That's J. Shawn Durham. Find me. I'm trying to get at least 100 subscribers. We're going to keep doing the show here on IG because this is where you all are easily accessible. But eventually, the plan is to move to have our content based off of there because it looks better. But yeah, Ty Wilson 21. And we're going to wrap up the show. I want to thank my guests. We're going to wrap up the show, but we're going to also have overtime, and we're going to talk about a number of things. We don't have to just talk about this. But we're going to wrap up the show. I want to thank my test. Yeah, we ain't going away because we still got stuff to drink. You know how we do. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Leigh A. Willis. Brother, we're going to bring you back. That was really great. Like Ty said, we could do 2-3 hours with you, and we will, but we're also going to talk about all that stuff on your podcast because we like to talk about dope geek shit too. Thank you, brother, for coming and being a supporter of mine for 15, 16 years. We're going to want to thank, again, our sponsor, Kim Dudley. Not only is she the sponsor at Better Body Butter here, where she has a 50% off code for her body butter. It's delicious. It's sensational. The Bae line, BAE, is also edible. I think there's 2 flavors, I guess you could say, that's edible. But 50% off, and she's about to retire the apple until fall of next year. So you want to get in on that apple scent. And this show was also enriched by her experience by telling us about the father of her child who met an untimely demise. But she persevered. We persevere. The show's also brought to you by Broke. This is my novel, which is literally on the topic of men talking the shit out before things get too bad. It's hilarious. It's dramatic. It's men in a light you've never seen before. You can buy it on Amazon, but you'd be helping me out if you go to www.jsdink.com, and I'll send you an autographed hardcover or paperback. This show will be available for rebroadcast on IG tomorrow, as well as on my YouTube page at J. Shawn Durham. But let me tease who's going to be here tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but next week, if we do it next week, or our next show. And then I'll give you my closing thoughts. Everyone take a listen.
What's up? You know who it is. And if you don't, it's your boy Tommy Taylor Jr., actor, comedian, and international ladies man. Okay, well, I actually don't have a passport right now. But look, that's not the point. The point is, I'm about to be on the Shawn Show, so I need y'all to turn in and turn up. We're about to chop it up, talk about everything So tune in. The Shawn Show. Tommy Taylor Jr.
I couldn't have
That's
done that
what's
shit better myself, and I didn't write that, folks. He said it all the time. So we got Tommy Taylor Jr. He's going to be our featured guest, like Leigh Willis was tonight. But we're going to have a panel of comedians. So we're going to lighten the mood, and we're going to talk the comedy game, folks. So be here ready to laugh, drink, and talk about all different facets of comedy. That should be next week, next Tuesday, we hope. Ty, you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Ty's in, my wingman's in. I'm going to leave you with this final Shawn Says, and then we're going to call it, all right? So please, listen up. Listen up. We had a great talk, guys, about a number of things. But I do want to get back to that Super Bowl show, that halftime show, because some would say that that was Gen X soul food. I'm not so sure. Watching the Super Bowl halftime show felt like a victory for Generation X. Now, that would be my generation and Ty's generation of Transformers and G.I. Joe cartoons and Love Jones and Hugh Grant, Julia Roberts movies, New Jack City, and eventually the East Coast, West Coast rap renaissance. Now, I call it a rap renaissance because I always resisted the generic gangster rap monikers. I always thought it was a short through line to coining all black men as gangsters in the land of Capone, bootleggers like Joseph Kennedy and Donald Trump. I still believe that fallacy to be ironic and wrong, but I also hold that both things can be true. It is gangster rap, and it's time for us to let that gangster shit go. Why? Because maturity means looking back on what our generation celebrated and being mature enough to realize that it wasn't all good. It wasn't healthy. It wasn't promoting anything except violence, misogyny, and, well, being a menace to society. And it hurts. I mean, it hurts to come to this conclusion. And after all these years, after all the immediate joys of seeing Dr. Dre commandeer a halftime concert full of name brand rappers and Mary J. Blige's thighs, thank you, Mary J., that made me rise to my feet. But then it got me thinking, we too old for this shit. Sorry, maybe it's the sight of a 50-year-old Snoop Dogg throwing up gang signs and crip walking in front of 100 million people. Maybe it's thinking all of the dead rappers and executives and mangled bodies and families and lives torn apart along the way, while realizing that Dre and Snoop alone are cumulatively worth over $1 billion. So they made their money off this shit. We have fond memories of our generation, don't we? Generation X. Groundbreaking hood soundtracks and movies, mean mugging, Spike Lee films, and The Cosby Show. But we remember things fondly as if it didn't have a negative effect on us. Now we are the age of leaders and parents and grown children, and we wonder aloud, what's wrong with these kids these days when we don't realize we have sown the seeds of more violence and disrespect amongst our own kind? Sidebar metaphor. If you've been eating bad things all your life, how is that poor diet going to lead to anything more than a lineage of diabetes and heart disease? As a descendant of slaves left with only the bad parts of animals to eat, black folks find a way to make the bad stuff taste good. That's a high sodium grade soul food, but you can't eat that shit every day. I ate it, but I was a young adult when I consumed it. And it influenced me. More slander and disrespect towards women, more testosterone running amok, looking for a fight, more confrontations, more fuck you sprinkled in my food. Are you following me, Gen X? We ate that stuff a lot. And now our kids, not adults, our kids eat it every day. Why? Because we think we got by on it. It can't be all bad. But we had a generation before us that gave us a more optimistic diet. Culturally, that cultural diet actually talked about love in love songs, actually showed us living normal, PTSD-free lives on a regular basis in our shows and reserving the violence only for an occasional, quote, very special episode, which were used as teachable moments. But now, I don't hear love in our songs. And all our shows are humorless, drug kingpin, hood, chess move dramas. Guns and bullets are shown more than hugs and kisses from parents. All of Harlem World is simply a ghetto. Black love and the notion of loving each other, my God, we don't talk about love at all, is a weird, hokey notion. and we wonder why we don't have any black unity. Listen, I'm not a parent, but as an adult growing up in Gen X, I was fed and I ate the new cultural soul food that, while curiously posing a threat to authority, like, say, the police and white politicians, strangely, only pull the triggers on other black people. Be it literal or figurative bullets. No white folks were shot. The black body count is high. Female disrespect is higher, and sodium in this cultural soul food is sky high. I knock no one from our generation that use hip hop to gain dollars and get out of squalor, and props to Snoop buying Death Row Records. But one could hope we leave the gang references, the gun references, the woman hating references out of this really bad stuff when we use our cultural seasoning to make it taste so good to our eyes and ears. But then on Super Bowl Sunday morning, I get word of a new Snoop Dogg track using a sample from the theme of Frolic from Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO. Snoop puts out another funky jam that tastes so good to my ears. It's called Crip Your Enthusiasm. I'm not lying. That's right, Crip Your Enthusiasm. At the age of 50, Snoop is still making money peddling gang shit. Maybe I should go culturally vegan, but all I know is that shit doesn't taste quite as good. This concludes this cut of the Shawn Show. I'm going to play my fade out music, and then we're going to stick around here. Thank you all. Thanks to Ty Wilson. Thanks to Kevin Dudley. Thanks to Dr. Leigh Willis. And thank you to Dante. Even though you didn't get on the show, we will get you back. I appreciate you. And we out. Let's play the music, and then we'll be back for a little overtime.